When you look at construction these days, there's a big difference between concrete and timber. There's just something so different about the fresh cut wood. When people are looking at the timber, they're drawn to it. The look, the feel, even the smell. They want to walk up to it, they want to touch it. It's just something that just draws people in.
I mean, there's a lot of studies that talk about the psychological effects about mass timber. It's almost like being in touch with nature. It brings us closer to the outside world that maybe in the concrete jungles we're not so part of.
We've been designing with wood for centuries, but once we figured out how to build large-scale structures with steel and concrete, we migrated away from wood construction. Now we're coming back to building with wood because we know how to do it better. We know how to build at the same scale as concrete and steel, and there's a lot more that we can do with manufacturing and prefabrication than we could before. The other benefit of using mass timber is that it's made from a sustainable material. As long as we're harvesting our material from sustainably managed forests, for every tree we cut down, another tree is going to grow in its place. All of structural engineering is fairly high-tech. Everything is designed on the computer these days. So if I look at the life cycle of how a building comes together, the first thing that happens is the owner wants a building. Then they go to their engineer, who has mass timber experience, to design the building from the ground up with mass timber in mind. After the building is fully designed, Element 5 then takes that building design and we create a highly detailed three-dimensional model. Every hole, every connection, every opening that is required for plumbing or electrical, that is all coordinated in our 3D model, and then that gets sent to our factory for production. Once our factory has that model, it's not as easy as I'm about to make it sound, but effectively we hit print. At that point, our state-of-the-art CNC machine cuts in everything that we've accounted for in our three-dimensional model. It gets manufactured exactly as we've designed it to the millimeter. The benefit of all this prefabrication work is that when those mass timber elements arrive to site, everything fits together perfectly, exactly as intended, and construction is significantly faster.
My name is Seth and I'm a wood specialist with Element 5. Working here at the new facility in St. Thomas, it's been very exciting. There's a lot of new integrated technology and automation. As a wood specialist, I deal a lot with looking at the quality of the wood in terms of its moisture content, in terms of the quality of the actual lumber itself, and ensuring that we make a quality product for our customers. So the key thing is that at the design phase, that we're including every single detail that there is to be at the final product. Once the design process is finalized, it's passed on to the manufacturing team. At that point, it starts being machined to be turned into a panel. The panels, the way that we make them is it's layered. Each layer is cross-laminated to each other, so you have a longitudinal layer. The next one is perpendicular to that one, and you keep layering them. You can have anywhere between 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 layers. We're able to make panels of up to 16 meters. Typically, you'll see them in a wall or in a flooring system.
And then our state-of-the-art CNC machine cuts out all those openings and penetrations that we made in our three-dimensional model. Those openings being for connections, screws, plumbing, electrical.
For example, say you want to frame a window, then we would cut out the shape of the window. That saves a construction worker having to do all that. So the only additional part that would need to be done was the installation of the window rather than having to frame that whole area.
Once those mass timber elements are all fabricated, they get sent to the end of the line and wrapped up to be protected before they get shipped to site.
The nice thing about it is that it's ready to be installed directly on site, so everything is ready for that moment, and it takes a small crew to install.
When most people think of wood construction, they think of your typical stick frame construction like building a house. What we're doing that's different is we're manufacturing large-scale mass timber elements like entire wall panels that we can deliver and drop in on site.
For me, mass timber, it's coming back to traditional ways of building. You can look at old factories that are now being turned into lofts, and they're built with mass timber. These buildings are over 100 years old and they're still standing. So for me, it's really about coming full cycle of, where we started. Mass timber, when it's created at the factory, ends up being like a big 3D puzzle.
Because of the things that we do in manufacturing and all this prefabrication work, when all of these elements arrive to site, it's not conventional construction, it's assembly.
It all comes pre-cut, pre-routed, CNC'd, everything done to shape and size. So every piece that's coming off the truck, we take it from the trucks, fly it into place with the crane, it's offloaded onto the building and installed right away.
It makes it quick, it makes it a safer environment, and it makes it a healthier environment.
One of the other large differences between traditional concrete building and timber is the size of the manpower needed. On a concrete crew, you need sometimes 30 or 40 guys, whereas on a timber crew, I've worked on buildings where we had only 9 people needed to do the full job, but the speed and the agility of the timber versus the concrete allows it to go up at a much faster pace.
The coolest element of mass timber construction is just seeing it all go together on site. It's really cool to watch a beam that we've designed fit perfectly into the column connection and then just go together exactly as designed. It's like seeing our full 3-dimensional model come to life.
It was just an opportunity that came up. It was fluke chance, but I love it. It's one of the best types of projects I've ever worked on. The entryway into the mass timber is just finding your first job with it. Because you get trained on site, it's really easy to get picked up on other crews, because once you've got some of the training and you understand how it works, you're a much more valuable asset to any company that's working within mass timber.
I think it's exciting to be part of something that everyone's kind of watching as it's evolving very rapidly.
The mass timber industry in North America is really in its infancy and is en route for exponential growth. So there are tons of job opportunities in design, manufacturing, project management, marketing. Because this industry is growing, whatever you can think it needs, it will need. The reason why I love to work with mass timber is because it aligns with my personal values. I'm very passionate about climate change and trying to reduce carbon emissions. Knowing that the work I do every day is helping to fight against climate change is incredibly rewarding.